going on, everybody? Welcome back to another stream. As of right now, I decided to just kind of do this absolutely last minute. So there's nobody watching at this moment, but I'm going to just act, or at least just sit here and talk, knowing that there are going to be people who watch this after the fact who are not watching live. So hope everybody's been doing well. Yeah, I've been wanting to do more live streams. It's something that I've had on my list of things to do for quite some time now on my channel, and there was a window of time where I was streaming on the channel all the time, like on a weekly basis, multiple times a week. And I feel like in the last like year and a half, 2 years, I just fell off from streaming all that much. I got lost in just mainly doing movie reviews, not even doing too many of like the vlogs I used to do, or even like the supercut videos. I've been really slow on those too. And so live streaming is something I want to start doing more often, as I've kind of slowly, steadily started to kind of dip my toes back into that world. Um, but yeah, we're just gonna be hanging out tonight. Just gonna be chilling for a little bit. Not sure how long I'll be on, but for anybody who eventually pops on, definitely feel free to drop some comments and join down below. And I also just wanted to use these little hangout and chat streams to kind of just talk about the channel a little bit, and talk about what's going on with the channel and some of the things I want to do with the channel and this, that, and the third, whatever the case may be. So again, I just want to start this off honestly by just saying a big thanks to anybody who's been supporting the channel, um, specifically in the last year, because I've had some pretty solid milestones, and at times it was a little difficult to see the positive end of things, as I was pushing on with these with these videos, and doing week by week, watching stuff and filming these videos for the channel. And then at times it's pretty easy to get fairly discouraged, and feel like the channel is not growing to the rate that you want it to, but yeah, I'm happy that I can look back at the last year and feel like, despite feeling that discouragement at times, definitely feeling a sense of the channel growing and stuff like that. Especially a big thanks to the screeners. The screeners have been such a big help, and a big thanks to all of you guys who have supported those videos. It's in reality, they've brought me in a lot of new viewers. So even doing live streams like this, I recognize that there's a huge percentage of my audience that doesn't even watch me for live streams, or hasn't watched my channel for live streams, which is part of what I was saying before, something that I definitely want to change as time goes on. But yeah, again, just wanted to start this off and start off whatever I'm going to say in this live stream, simply with just a thanks to everybody who's chosen to support the channel in the last year. So as of right now, since there's not really much people watching, I've seen a couple people come in and out. Yeah, I just want to say a big thanks to anybody who decides to just throw this video on within the days and weeks and months that this video has been released, because part of the consistent enjoyment of doing these videos is simply just being excited to see where the process goes, being excited to see how the channel continues to grow, and who I continue to meet, the different connections I continue to make, and the different videos I get to make, and the different kinds of movies I get to talk about. And it's been pretty awesome, because there's so many movies that I probably never would have seen if it wasn't for some of these studios who give me the chance to check out their movies early. And sometimes they're phenomenal films. Sometimes they're movies that are like, I'm like so glad that I got around to seeing them. Sometimes they're movies that I never would have seen. I never even probably would have heard of if it wasn't for the emails I get saying, "Hey, do you want to review this movie?" And sometimes it's a movie that has like a, you know, pretty notable cast of people that you're familiar with, or whatever the case may be. And sometimes not so much. There's definitely a handful of movies that I've watched that I'm wondering who are any of these people. But it's always a nice, pleasant surprise when it's a cast of people that you're not familiar with, director you're not familiar with, and you can just go into this movie and end up being completely gripped by what's going on. And so, if you guys have been watching the channel, if you're subscribed to the channel, chances are that you've probably come across a lot of my reviews for things like Shutter originals and exclusives, which I have more of those coming as time goes on. And it's been a real pleasure to have that connection with Shutter, to be able to get some of their movies early and get to check them out. It is a bummer when you do have these studios sending you movies, and then you end up watching the movie and it's not so good, and you got to do a movie review. And I was really worried about that when I first started doing movie screener reviews, like early screeners. I was like, man, I'm going to burn bridges with some of these studios because they're sending me these screeners that ultimately are just not good movies. And that's not to say that that's the case with Shutter. I feel like Shutter is probably my favorite, or if not one of my favorite, studios that I'm connected with in terms of sending me movies because they just have such a weird, eclectic set of movies on their platform. And even if it's something that I don't enjoy, I'm always really interested to see what kind of movie they're bringing onto their platform. Sometimes it's incredible, sometimes it's not for me. But you never really know. And to also have connections with like Saban Films or Vertical Entertainment, stuff like that is just super, super awesome. And to just kind of just be that far into just be this far into talking about movies on YouTube, and be this far into doing these YouTube videos, and have these moments where I can look back and be like, wow, I've made some awesome connections, and I've made a lot of great friends here on the platform as well, which is always a pleasure too, to just be able to sit back and just like realize, man, like when I started this channel, it was all about a sense of community, and then I had to kind of find a new purpose and a new kind of thing that was going to give me drive when it came to YouTube. But yeah, for me, it was initially about sense of community. So to look over 4 years now later, over 800 videos, over 1,800 subscribers, and a channel that's officially finally monetized. Yeah, it's definitely pretty awesome to like look at the great set of friends that I've made here on YouTube, my YouTube peers, and just kind of realize like I'm no longer in that chase for community. Not that I'm not open to new community, but I'm no longer chasing that sense of community anymore because I gratefully found a community that I was able to help kind of be one of the pivotal people in building and bringing people together, and then meeting new people from these people who I was bringing into this community, and ultimately now just to see all the collaborations that happen across all the channels of people that you can see on my channel or on each other's channels, whatever the case may be. It's pretty amazing. So yeah, just obviously very long-winded intro to this video to say thanks to you guys. And sometimes it's just nice to turn the microphone on and just talk, because when you're sitting down and you're going to talk about a movie and you're going to review a movie, that's all great and dandy, and I love doing that for sure, and I will continue to do that. But if you're like me, you want those videos to be presentable to an extent. Of course, I'm a pretty laid back guy, so I like to maintain that laid back element to my videos. I'm not out here trying to pretend like I'm some ultra well spoken, movie critic or movie reviewer that just knows how to phrase things perfectly, and constantly has like the best verbiage for everything. But I try. I definitely want to be presentable. I definitely want my videos to be presentable. I definitely want to seem like somebody who knows what they're talking about at least, and it seems in some way um, not only passionate about what I'm talking about, but like I know what I'm trying to get across with my words, versus it just kind of being somebody who sits in front of a camera and says the movie was good, the movie was bad. It's definitely something I try to do, but sitting here and being able to do things like live streams and just turn the camera on and just talk, I love it, because I definitely have some people in my life, coworkers and all that kind of stuff, who have definitely told me that I can definitely talk a lot, and I'm not surprised to hear that anytime anybody says that. Which I guess of all the things that I am and that I can be and that I'm not, like I guess I'm grateful that I can. I guess you could say I remember that Blacktastic Tajaya from Blacktastic Media told me on the first live stream I think I had with him here on the channel. He had told me a story about how he went up to do a book report, I believe is what it was. He went up to do a book report on his at his school, like in a class in his school, and he didn't read the book, but he gave this whole book report like speech in front of the audience or in front of his classmates, and afterwards the teacher gave him a good grade, but because of the fact that he like just had the ultimate gift of gab, she knew he didn't read the book, obviously. But yeah, like I guess at this point in my life, just realizing that like the gift of gab is definitely something I'm certainly grateful for this far into my life at this point, and the ability to kind of just sit here and talk. And honestly, I think what's kind of surprising to me, and I guess it just kind of goes to show how long. Number one, I did do this last minute, so I guess I can't be too surprised. But we're 10 minutes into this, and I currently have no viewers. And for this live stream, which is the first time for me to be this far into the live stream. And now I kind of expected to have somebody hop in. I've seen a couple people hop in, but they've left. And so now at this point, I'm just talking because I recognize that some of my viewers who typically aren't able to watch my live streams live a lot of times, or are working, or whatever the case may be, will watch this and put this on in the background or listen to this at some point in the next little bit. So at this point, that's who I'm rambling for. But the best part about doing stuff like this is the ability to kind of just get thoughts out that I've had about the channel, or just thoughts out in general, and just ramble and not have to worry about editing this and putting it together later and trying to, form some sort of you know, review around it, or a very specific kind of video. This can kind of just be like super laid back and chill, and just kind of me sitting here talking. Another thing too, you're probably all wondering what is up with the thumbnail. And honestly, the thumbnail is just AI art. I've been messing around with some AI art apps, and I got so many cool like designs and things like that that I was just, or just some weird ones like the one that's in the thumbnail today. And I just kept wanting to use them for something, but I was like, I don't really know what I could do. I thought about maybe doing like an AI art like video on the channel, but I don't know how much of that I could really do that would be entertaining. So I figured, hey, I'll use them for some of these hangout and chat live streams, and just throw them in the thumbnail because some of the images are kind of cool or weird, like the one that I have in the thumbnail here. And yeah, okay. So this is just first little bit of the video, just to say thank you guys for supporting the channel and the journey up to this point. And just to kind of like get more open with people on the channel. I feel like, again, I mentioned at the very, very start of this video, but like I feel like there was a period of time when I started doing YouTube where I was live streaming all the time, and I had guests on all the time. And I feel like my early subscribers had that ability to connect with the channel far more, connect with me, the person behind the videos. Because it's one thing to be like, hey, what's going on, everybody? We're going to be talking about, whatever, insert movie here. And then, do my video, edit out the mistakes, talk the positives, the negatives, and give my thoughts on a movie and wrap it up and move on to the next thing. And uh I guess it's easy to kind of feel like I'm kind of disconnecting from the audience and not allowing the audience to connect with me in the same way that I had before. So, yeah, I definitely want to, implore anybody who's watching, and maybe even watching, after the fact, after this has already, been live and is just living on YouTube, to leave any comments, any questions, anything that you guys want to have answered. It's been a while since I've done a lot of like Q&A type of things here on the channel, talking about any behind the scenes stuff on the channel and different things like that. One of the things I certainly want to start doing a lot more is definitely doing random rambling. So for anybody who's not familiar with random rambling, I somewhat started doing random rambling again not too long ago, and pretty much just used that as an opportunity to kind of reconnect with some friends that I hadn't like talked to in too long. And there's so many more I want to do. It's a great opportunity to do like conversation pieces. It's a great opportunity to do something to chat, just kind of sit back and kind of have a laid back chat with some people and get to know somebody. There's been so many of my YouTube peers that I've gotten to know here on YouTube, thankfully, because of doing things like random rambling, where we just sat here in front of the audience of people who watched live and after the fact, and just got to know each other. And I'd interview them on why they started YouTube and what their journey is with YouTube, and then of course just talking about life and different things like that over the course of time. And yeah, that's definitely something that I'm hoping to bring back to the channel, to start doing more random ramblings, because there are certainly a lot of fantastic people that I want to have on again, who it's been quite some time, and I think that we could have some great conversations. But as well as some people that I haven't had on yet, and so many people that I would love to have on, that I feel could really make for some interesting conversations and just some fun videos overall and stuff like that. And overall, if there's a series that I want to bring back to the channel more so than any other one, it's definitely got to be that one. And beyond that, also, I also want to start doing more supercut videos. So I'm currently working on a supercut video. I won't give anything away as far as what the song is, or how long it is, or when it even is going to be out, because I honestly have no idea. But it's definitely something I want to start doing a lot more of here on the channel. And I hope that when do start to kind of roll those things out a little bit more, that you guys will be definitely interested in seeing some of that pay out or play out. As far as upcoming content, something I definitely want to talk about here on the channel. So for this week, I'm going to be I've had the opportunity to drop a review for this for the last few weeks because I've had the screener for the last few weeks, but I had some other more pressing videos to make as far as just kind of like timely manner kind of stuff. I had some screeners that I needed to kind of get done at a certain time. I had to get out on the channel at a certain time for embargoes for some of the newer movies, as well as just being able to try to get out a review for a newer movie in general. And then of course you guys have seen in the last couple of weeks I've done collab videos for things like The Dark Knight Rises, as well as the Land Before Times series. I think we did the fifth and sixth movie recently, me and Mike from Did You See That? And then I did The Dark Knight Rises with Cinematic Tendency. A few weeks back, I did Lilo and Stitch 2, Stitch Has a Glitch with Blacktastic Media, which was a lot of fun. But yeah, so this week you guys can expect a review for Rebroken, which is a brand new film coming out this coming week. I believe it drops on the 7th, and that stars a few people that I'm not super familiar with, but probably the most notable name that's in the movie that's on the poster is Tobin Bell, probably best known as his role of John Kramer or Jigsaw in the Saw franchise. So definitely excited to check that movie out. Should have that review out somewhere. I want to say by Monday. Let's say by Monday is when that video will be out. But if I can get it out sooner, I'll definitely try to. Outside of that, this coming week, I also will be seeing Scream 6 on this coming Thursday. I'm pretty excited about that. If you guys have been watching the channel for a while, you know that I love slasher films, and the Scream films have been a franchise that I've always had a lot of fun with. I really enjoyed the last one, Scream 5, or just, Scream, as they called it for that movie. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Scream 6. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Some of the early reviews and some of the early thoughts I've seen rolling around Twitter and stuff like that have been fairly positive. So I'm pretty excited to see how that pans out. I'm curious to see who Ghostface will be this time around. I have some theories on who it would be. But I'm definitely very curious to see how the story kind of plays off of certain things, especially with Nev Campbell not being in the movie, which is so weird to me. Like, I still can't believe that there was a pay issue when it came to Nev Campbell, the face, and, like, the main hero of the series. I really honestly can't believe that. So I'm looking forward to Scream 6. So I'll have a review up for that. Yeah, next Thursday, that should be the plan. And then this coming Friday, also, I'm a Disney World Pass holder. I'll be attending um, one of the annual pass holder previews for the new Tron ride that they have opening at Magic Kingdom. So that's going to be pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to that, to be able to sit back and try a new ride. Always a pleasure. Last time that they opened a brand new ride was Guardians of the Galaxy ride. I believe that was the last one, which I also did an annual pass holder preview for, and I dropped a video for it. So if I can, leading up to the ride, like walking through the queue and maybe like just the outer area of it, I'll try to get some good footage of what it looks like. Even though there's already stuff for it online, try to add my own flair to it. Just have me filming some things, talking about the experience and different things like that. So should have that Tron video up sometime maybe Friday. So this coming week, you could definitely, if anything, look forward to at least those three videos I mentioned: a Rebroken review, Scream 6 review, as well as the Tron video. And hopefully, I'll be able to fit a live stream in somewhere within those next few days as well. It's definitely something I would like to be able to do. And yeah, just so overall, like, there's a lot of great more collabs coming to the channel. Of course, I have more screeners coming soon. Not this week, but the following week. I'll probably be dropping a review for, I believe the movie's called Leave, if I'm not mistaken. It's a brand new film coming from Shutter once again, which again, it's super awesome to have the connection with a studio like Shutter, or a streaming platform like Shutter, and be able to check out their movies early. Um, again, like I mentioned earlier, sometimes they're not the greatest movies in the world, but sometimes they can be real surprises where you're like, wow, that was a really, really good one. Probably one of my favorite ones, or my favorite one from this past year that I watched from Shutter, which actually made my top 10 of 2022, was a movie called Glorious, which I thought was a really, really interesting film. And it's about a guy that just got out of a relationship, and he gets drunk, and he's just kind of all over the place and belligerent. And we, learn that he's heartbroken, and he's struggling with the fact that he's no longer with this girl. And he ends up, like I said, getting really drunk, ends up like burning a bunch of the relationship stuff that he had, like in his car, like a little teddy bear that he had given her at one point, and these different things. And anyway, why he ends up stopping at this rest stop where all of this happens, and ends up going to the bathroom in this rest stop, and he's all drunk, and he's a mess, and he's kind of just like in his boxers. And he ends up hearing a voice coming from the stall that's in there, ends up getting locked in the bathroom and learns that there's some sort of like demigod that's in the stall. He can't see it. If he tries to see and look at what this demigod looks like, he ends up passing out. And what's it called? And then he just has to spend the whole rest of the movie in this bathroom with this demigod behind this bathroom stall, who's played by J.K. Simmons. And yeah, I just thought that the movie was so bizarre and so strange, and the dialogue and the lighting of the movie and the cinematography and just the bizarre nature of the film. It was just so weird. I would be really getting into spoilers to talk more about it and what happens in it. That's a pretty bare bones premise that I just gave you. But if you have the streaming service Shutter, I do really highly recommend it. I think it's definitely one of the better Shutter films that I've been sent a screener for. And more often than not, I'm typically more intrigued by the Shutter originals than the Shutter exclusives. Because sometimes the Shutter exclusives are these movies that came out already, or had some runs in the festival circuits, and maybe there's already a lot of reviews out for them, or it's a movie that's already available on other platforms to rent or purchase, and then Shutter will end up gaining the exclusive rights to have it on their platform. But yeah, man, overall, just really excited about that, and really excited to see where the channel continues to go on that front. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if it's the thumbnail that's not drawing people in, or the fact that it's just like a um, random evening. So I'm gonna keep live streaming for a little bit. If I realize that absolutely nobody's joining this after a certain period of time, I'll probably just use this as an opportunity to kind of just talk to you guys, and just kind of vent about a couple of things, and give you guys some updates on things. Probably like the best way to really look at this, because I just like last time did not plan this out. Decided to just sit here and turn the camera on and just do this now. I also have to watch a screener for later tonight anyway, so I can't be on here for too long because I also do work tomorrow. Unfortunately, because YouTube is not my job just yet. Hopefully, one day that will be the case. Um, but yeah, man, it's been a wild journey, and yeah, I hope all of you guys are doing well too. I know that the world's been really crazy, and I know that it's easy for me to kind of get lost in the insanity of the world, and on top of doing YouTube, and on top of working and different things like that. And then you know sometimes I think to myself, man, I wonder where that person's been who hasn't commented in a while. And then they come out of nowhere and they will be like, hey man, sorry I haven't watched your videos in a little bit. I've been catching up on your videos now, and I've had this going on and that going on. And so it's always really awesome to see familiar faces popping up in the comment sections, even if they show up way down the line and it's not something that they're able to keep up with consistently. It's always something I'm really grateful for, because it's always nice to hear that human story of, yeah, man, I've been busy with work, or I had all these exams to do, or hey, I was taking care of my mom as she got out of like surgery or something like that, and I just didn't have time to watch a bunch of YouTube videos and stuff. But then they'll come back and support the channel. So, with that said, I really do hope everybody's doing well. I hope that everybody's lives are doing as best as they can. I know we're all trying our best out here. And yeah, just for anybody who stops and supports the channel amidst going on with whatever they got going on in their life, especially any of my YouTube peers who do YouTube content themselves. I'm certainly of the mentality now where I find myself struggling to keep up with my fellow YouTubers as quickly as I used to, simply because I support so many now, as well as supporting the channels that I already supported before I even started doing YouTube. And then of course making the content, and then watching movies and going to work, and then also trying to have personal lifetime outside of doing anything YouTube based. Um, yeah, it's kind of crazy to just it's just kind of wild, to be honest. Apologies, your boy was thirsty. Um, but yeah, we'll see how much longer this live stream goes for. I'm hoping some people pop in. I'm gonna pull a Rashad G reviews, and just wait to see how this goes, and go from there. But yeah, man, it's pretty. It's been pretty interesting to be monetized the last like week and some change, and just see how the cents and just like the little bit of literally 2 or 3 cents will build up from a video that gets it viewed from like 3 or 4 years ago. It's kind of weird to have these videos kind of working for me now in a way, like like where I can wake up and be like, oh wow, some random video I did 3 years ago gained me 3 cents. And literally it'll be like 3 cents. Um, and it's pretty awesome to kind of finally be at this point, you know, and to see the channel blossoming. All right, give me 2 seconds. Let me see something right here. Let's see something up with the stream. Hello, viewer who popped in here. What's going on? Hope you stick around. And if you don't, that's all right too. It's okay. No sweat. Um, I've just been talking about a bunch of random stuff, waiting for some people to drop some comments, and hopefully some people do soon enough. All right. Apologies for that quick little interruption, I should say. But yeah, you know, I hope that everybody, if you're just throwing this on in the background and you're watching it after the fact, you know, I hope that again, like I was saying before, like it's such a weird thing to be doing YouTube this long and have so many people that support the channel. And I just really hope that people know how much I really do appreciate all the viewership and and people just sticking around and every it's like I was just saying before I was doing something on the phone there that to be able to like see the same people pop up in the comments and stuff it's just always so exciting, you know what I mean? And I remember when that first started happening, you know, when I started seeing familiar faces that were not friends that I knew in person. um yeah, you know, it's just kind of just always so awesome. What's going on? What the gym? Hope you're doing well as well. Thanks for stopping by, clicking here onto the stream. Yeah, just hanging out tonight. I've been talking to myself pretty much for the last half hour, but just kind of using this video as like an update video, talking about the channel, different things like that. Just rambling about a bunch of different stuff. Um, and yeah, man, it's been a chill night. So if you're gonna stick around, feel free to drop some comments and join me in just chatting here about a bunch of randomness, movies, whatever the case may be. Um, are you gonna go see the new Scream 6 this week? If you're still watching, definitely leave a comment down below. That would be awesome if you if you what's it called? If you plan to go see that movie. With the gym, I'm so glad Mike suggested your channel to me. Oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate that, man. And yeah, it's been a pleasure to see you on Mike's channel a lot too for Z Talks. For anybody who's not familiar, Mike has a video series, a live stream series that he took a little break on, but it's been back now for the last couple of weeks. And it's called Z Talks, and you know, which obviously goes in line with Did You Z That? And yeah, they I see what the gym. Yeah, Mike does those weekly on Thursday, and he has a bunch of different guests on, and kind of like what I was talking about earlier, like with Random Rambling. Except usually with Random Rambling, I only have one guest on. Um, let's see. What the gym? I don't like horror movies. Mike is trying to get me into them. Yeah, you know, I would recommend. I think. Well, you know what's interesting about Scream is that they're so meta, and so it kind of, in a way, requires that you've, you know, watched some horror. Not that you, it doesn't require it, but like, you know, it's best if you've seen some horror so you understand a lot of the references that are being made and different things like that. But I would almost argue if like you're not into horror because maybe it freaks you out, maybe don't start with the kind of horror that freaks you out. You know, I know a lot of people tend to be freaked out by like the paranormal stuff, the demons, the possessions, all that kind of stuff, which I remember when I was really young, you know, films like Amityville Horror and stuff like that used to freak me out. But I always recommend if people are going to dive into the horror genre to kind of dive into it with some of the goofier horror, like some horror comedies or, you know, things like maybe some of the old slashers that by today's standards are super goofy. You know, there's still some good creepy slasher films of the olden days. You know, maybe like you know, movies that have creepy moments like a Sleepaway Camp or Nightmare on Elm Street. But you know, when you watch through like the Freddy franchise or the Jason franchise or the Michael Myers franchise, a few installments into all those movie franchises. Maybe sometimes just like the first one, maybe not so much Nightmare on Elm Street, but like you'll have some just goofy elements, whether it be the performances or the dialogue or just the way the film is made, that makes it a little bit easier to watch. You can kind of like lean into some of the silly, scary moments. Ugh, I felt that one coming on for a long time. All right, fucking sneezing on a live stream. But yeah, I find that the old slasher films of the '80s and stuff like that tend to be the better movies in a lot of ways. When it comes to things like to kind of like be an entryway to horror, because I find that if you're really not into horror and it's something that creeps you out and you dive straight into the stuff that seems the freakiest to you, you don't tend to fully appreciate it because you're freaked out by it. But if you dive into some of the more goofy horror, a lot of times, it's kind of like a nice way to kind of slowly step into it. Maybe look for the horror films or ask people what horror films like are the ones that have like really good stories and good characters, so that you can be more invested in things like that. And then the scares kind of feel like kind of like extra baggage versus it actually being something that's horrifying or something that really like gets under your skin. Because there's definitely some pretty eerie, creepy films out there. But you know, there's plenty of movies that have more of a creepy aesthetic and are a little bit more goofy on the surface. God, those sneezes made me have to the water. Lord have mercy. Norn Rad, what's going on, my friend? What up, Anthony? Good to catch you live. I'm just hanging, enjoying the Penguins hockey game. Nice, man. Nice. The last time I went to a hockey game or did anything hockey based, I went to go see a team, like a local team over here in Central Florida called I'm freaking dead. The movie man. How you gonna try me? How you gonna call me out like that? Snopthony A. Perez. Yeah, thanks. I was doing fine for the first 25 minutes of the stream when literally no shit, nobody was in here. I'm so glad you guys are in here now because now I feel like there's something to kind of be excited about. I'm not gonna lie. Anybody who watches this on the replay after the fact is just gonna have 20 minutes of me just randomly rambling. Thankfully, I have the gift of gab to some degree, so I feel like I could just kind of talk about the channel and different things like that. But I was really hoping somebody would hop in here. But I was doing great. And then of course I just had to sneeze 3 times and now my throat and everything feels like it's dying. But we're in it to win it. Norrin Rad, yeah. So I went to see a team called the Orlando Solar Bears a few years back, and that was fun. You know, I haven't really spent too much time watching a lot of hockey, whether it be on TV or on whatever the case may be. So you know, it was a pretty cool time going to the actual game. Uh, what's going on, Ryan? How's it going, man?
Hey, man. Thanks for inviting me on.
Yeah, dude. I was just literally, dude. I was just chilling here, and I was gonna do a stream by myself, but then I was just sitting here thinking to myself, well, first of all, I was just telling some of the viewers just now that the first 25 minutes of the stream, I had like one person pop in and pop out, one person pop in, pop out. So I literally was just talking to myself for 25 minutes, and then I was like, okay, this is just like I got to get somebody in here. So I quickly sent a couple of messages to you and like 2 or 3 other people and just said, if anybody can hop in, like that'll be awesome. But yeah, I just figured this will be maybe a little bit more fun. I don't know how long I'll be on here overall, but just figured, hey, we could just chat. And I think it's the first time I'm having you on a live stream here on the channel, so might have to
Yeah,
change. I'll change the thumbnail and all that crap later on, but for right now, it's a weird looking demon.
it's all
Um,
good.
but yeah, we're just looking through some comments here. What the gym was talking about. We were talking a little bit about Scream 6 this week and how he's not really into horror.
Mhm.
Are you excited for Indy 5? Yes, I very much am. What about you, Ryan? Have you seen the other Indy films?
I haven't seen any of them, but I have the first four on. I have all the four on Steelbooks. I need to watch them, dude.
Yeah, dude, I highly recommend them. You know, people have their opinions on the fourth one. I can definitely agree that it's probably the weakest of the bunch. But man, those original 3 films, they're gold, dude. And with the new one coming out, I highly recommend just like popping them in and doing a series on your channel or just watching them in general because there's definitely some good stuff out there, man.
Yeah,
In terms of that franchise.
yeah, definitely need to get to him.
Norn
What's
Rad, Ryan in the house. Yeah, Ryan's in here
up, Noran?
with the
Hey,
gym
Jim.
saying. But yeah, man. So I guess since I have you on, and you know, which I've just been kind of rambling now, and this is the first time I've had you on. I would start. I kind of want to ask you a question I used to ask people all the time on this series that I want to continue doing. I guess this is kind of like in a random rambling that isn't really I guess what's the right word, an official random rambling where I
Mm.
usually have the person right from the start. But I guess I've never really asked you, but what made you want to start YouTube, man? Like what made you hit like create a channel and get yourself in front of the camera and start talking about movies?
So around the time, I think it was, I started in November 2020. And during that time, my wife was on going on vacation, and I always have gone to the movie theaters like pretty much weekly. And I just never reviewed them. And my wife was like, "Why don't you just start reviewing movies and just doing it for fun?" And I was like, "Okay, I'll try it out and see what I'm doing." Of course, you don't know when you start YouTube what you're doing. You don't know. I didn't know what a thumbnail was for like the longest time, and how to even create one. But like, you change things as you go. But for me, like, I've always just watched a lot of different movies, and I think what I really like doing is just doing like the smaller movies, because a lot of times people don't know about them, and then like you review them on your channel, and they're like, I never heard of that before." And
Right.
yeah, I just think it's a good outlet to kind of just share your thoughts. I mean, I'm not looking for fame or anything like that. I mean, obviously, we all would love to hit it big,
Right, right.
maybe make a little bit, but I mean, I don't look at it that way. I mean, a lot of times with my reviews and stuff, how I do them is I if I can incorporate personal things too, I will. I try to keep it pretty 100% on my channel. Like, I'm never gonna be that person that gives a good score to a movie just because, like, you know you know how some people, like, how they're a little bit, I don't know how to say it, like, they're maybe hesitant about maybe like rating a movie bad because, like, for instance, a lot of times people have nostalgic on a movie, and they may be like, kind of hesitant to give a bad score to a movie. But for me, like, I'm gonna tell you like what I feel, like, truthfully. Like, for instance, like, a lot of people really like The Lost Boys, and I don't really like that movie. I don't understand why people like that movie, but like, I don't know. I mean, I just like to just talk about whatever I feel comes to mind, what I like. I mean, I feel like everybody, when they review movies, they take a different approach to it and like what they like. And I think it also has to do with like what you grew up watching and how you perceive movies. Because I think people in general, like, I feel like the general population, they don't watch a lot of movies, but like people like us that review movies, like, we're watching a whole bunch of different stuff. But a lot of times, I think some people, they're a little bit more hesitant to kind of go out of their comfort zone. Like, if some people just like to watch like the mainstream movies, because like a lot of people, like, when they go to the movies, they like to just watch like the mainstream stuff, the Marvel stuff, or whatever's big at the time. So I don't know. That's like why I started my channel. I know that's a really long answer, but
No, you're good, man. I love the long-winded responses. Yeah, I totally agree. It's like for me, when I started it, it was kind of like about a sense of community. Like I'm sure you could probably relate to like being like the movie guy and you're maybe at work or you're with friends and you get a little bit more passionate about the movie and like the directing and the writing and stuff and they're just kind of like yeah it was all right it was good and you can kind
Mhm.
of tell that they're not as into the conversation as you.
Yeah.
So for me it was starting the YouTube channel was trying to find other people that like talking about movies in the same way.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I guess similarly, it's been mainly about fun. Yeah, kind of like you said, like if we could make it big, that'd be amazing. Even if I could just like make a decent amount of money on YouTube, not for the
Mhm.
sake of making money, just for the sake of doing something that I really enjoy doing for a living. But of course, it kind of have to feel like when you're building the channel, you kind of have to let go of that a little bit, just so
Mm.
like you could just have fun with it, because it's going to be really discouraging when you have one video that pops off, kind of like you were mentioning with like the smaller movies. Sometimes the benefit of covering the smaller movies is like how those videos pop off. Like you never really know which
Yeah.
video is going to pop off, but every here and there's a video that just like explodes, and you're like, oh wow, I'm so glad I covered this, random smaller film.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, there's, sometimes you'll cover like a movie that you think, oh yeah, this is gonna do great, a big, nice, big new movie.
Mhm.
But then it just does terrible. For a period of time, like for me, Marvel movies on my channel did horrible for a period of time simply because everybody and their mother was covering it. So by the time I dropped a review, like every big publication that dropped a review, the smaller people, like everybody from somebody who has like a studio with an awesome backdrop to the dude sitting like on his in his bedroom that goes, "Hi, welcome to my channel, and we're gonna be talking about Spider-Man." Like
Yeah.
it's that wide variety of kind of people that are talking about the stuff on YouTube. Um, so sometimes with that competition, you can get in your head about it. But yeah, man, it's interesting to hear. It's nice to hear kind of a similar story. Just kind of like wanting to talk about movies, watching a lot of movies, and
Mhm.
yeah, it is like a fun outlet to talk about different kinds of movies and different things like that. I see we got some questions here. Noran Rad says, "Question for you all: How many 2023 films have you watched so far?"
I can
I
tell
saw
you.
you. I saw you reach for your phone. So did I. Um, yeah, if you guys want, follow me on Letterbox.
Yep, that's what I'm looking at. I can tell you.
Yeah, let's see. I'll tell you right
Let's
now. I've
see.
watched 21 films that are 2023 releases so far. I've watched 38 films altogether so far this year. So not as many as I would have liked to have, but 38 films overall this year, including rewatches or older films from like previous years, and then what did I say, 21 films
Mm.
from this year. What about you?
I've watched 32 2023 films so far, and I've
Nice.
watched 55 total so far this year.
Damn. All right. I got
So.
some catching up to do, man. Yeah, no, I feel what's honest. The honest truth is, lately for me, I've been mainly playing Hogwarts Legacy, the new Harry Potter game. So
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a big gamer. So if I'm not doing YouTube, if I'm not watching something or filming a video or something, I spend a lot of my night like free time playing something. And right now my game of choice is Hogwarts Legacy. Trying to
That's
burn through that before I what's it called, before Star Wars Survivor comes out, which I'm incredibly excited for, the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, which of course I know that you're just now diving into Star Wars.
Star
So
Wars, yeah.
yeah, um, gonna go, guys. Glad more people on the stream. Thanks for stopping by with the gym. Really appreciate it, my friend.
Have a good night, man.
And LBT Electric Dino 75. What's going on? What's going on? Thanks for stopping by. What do you got coming out this week, man? I was telling everybody that for myself, I'm gonna be dropping a review for a new movie called Rebroken with
Mhm.
Tobin Bell. That comes out this week. I know Mike dropped a review for it, and Dave from Interpreting the Stars dropped one as well. Um, there's also I'll be seeing Scream 6 on Thursday. If I can, I'd like to see 65 on Friday, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to or not. And then on Friday, though, I'm going to Magic Kingdom to go do the annual pass holder preview
Nice.
for that new Tron ride.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, I'm
Sweet.
excited to check that out. I'll probably film like a little vlog of maybe the line and stuff like that. But what about yourself, man? What do you got coming out this week on your channel?
So I've already recorded a couple things. I haven't edited them yet, but I recorded a review for Women Talking. I
Okay, cool.
watched that. I did part 6 in my full movie collection, so um, I finally have all my full movie collection like completely like done and shown to everybody. So it turned out I had 785 movies is what the total was.
Oh my god, dude. That's
Yeah,
crazy. I just added you to the description box, by the way. So for anybody who's watching, the link to Ryan's channel is down below in the description box. I realized we were talking about your channel, but nobody had a link to it.
that's all.
Um, but dude, that's crazy. Yeah, you definitely probably have me beat because I have a decent amount of Blu-rays. I'm looking at them right now, but there's no way I have as many as you just mentioned. And I think part of it for me has been like space, and
Mm,
I also condensed a lot of them down. So I had like a bunch of separate DVDs and Blu-rays for things, but then I have a bunch of bundles now. Like I have a lot of the popular series or just
mhm.
series in general. But I'm like a huge sucker for a Blu-ray bundle. Like if I can find like the whole franchise in one bundle.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've noticed the downside to that is you won't have as nice of like, maybe it doesn't come with as many like bonus features or behind the scenes stuff,
Mhm,
or the casing, the box itself won't be as nice because it's like all the movies are jam packed into one box.
mhm.
Um, Whereas like most movies, if you're gonna get like the cool steel book, it like usually comes on its own or something. I have a couple of steel books though. I don't have too many, but I do love the bundles. But I have a decent set of movies. But yeah, it's definitely a lot. 700. Would you say 700? And how many?
785.
God damn, bro. That's
But I've been
crazy, man.
collecting for a long time though. I've been collecting since I
Right,
was like a little kid. So, and I've done the same thing you've done. I've condensed. I've gotten rid of stuff. I've gotten rid of stuff and rebought stuff. I've been
right,
that way my whole life, like collecting. I've gone through phases. I've so many times in my life with collecting. I used to collect wrestlers. I collect CDs. I collect. I have a little bit of vinyls that I've been collecting. Not as bad as movies, but actually, I should say nowhere near bad as movies. But that, and then I used to collect the Ninja Turtle stuff. I mean, I've gone through so many phases. Hot
right,
Wheels
right.
cars, you know it. I've done it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. When I was really young, for me, it was dinosaurs initially because I wanted to. I was really into Jurassic Park, like Jurassic Park, specifically the first three, one of my favorite movies of all time. And as a kid, I was like, um, I wanted to be a paleontologist. I actually wanted to do what Dr. Alan Grant does in the Jurassic Park movies, and that I obviously don't do that, but I loved it at the time, and I had so many dinosaur figures and toys and plushes and like so many dinosaur themed things in general. And then, of course, anybody who knows me knows I'm crazy about Star Wars. So I've collected and gotten rid of or lost so many Star Wars action figures and toys and lightsabers and shit over the years. I still have tons of it. I have a lot of like nowadays. I find that I kind of keep the more prestige pieces, like art pieces, like Star Wars art pieces, or like I have a lightsaber, but it's like one of the like ones you can actually fight with, one of like the stronger, like durable ones. I have like a lot more like Star Wars memorabilia that's a little bit more expensive now that I kind of keep around. But I still have some of the old school like toys and stuff like that from like the 80s and stuff like that that I still have in the original boxes. But they kind of just sit in boxes in storage, you know what I mean? Because I don't
Yeah.
want to like mess with them. So it's kind of one of those weird things.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's interesting. It's always interesting to hear how other people collect. When I was younger, I used to collect CDs, which man, like of all the money I spent on something, talk about the biggest waste right there. Because at the time, maybe not so much, but like with Blu-rays and DVDs and stuff, they still serve their purpose. Like if you
Hmm.
want it, like I could still pop in a DVD that I had from a billion years ago and still watch the movie. Like let's say like my internet goes out or something, like I still own that movie. I can still throw it in, but man, some of these it's like the CDs, man, like those, like how often are you throwing CDs in a CD player? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Um,
think my car may be one of the last models that have a CD player. I think I have a 2015. So I think
right,
after that they stopped making CD players. But I don't even carry CDs in my car anymore. I just hook up the phone and listen on Spotify. And believe me when I say that took me a while to do that
right,
because my wife was because for a while I switched from CDs to digital to like buying off of like Amazon, and I'd buy like every single like CD digital that would come out because I'm not a person that buys songs because mainly because I'm listening to smaller bands, so like I'll buy like the whole CD, but it took me a while to switch from Amazon digital to go to Spotify. So now that I'm a Spotify, I'm like, oh, I can just pick whatever I want whenever I want. I don't have to spend any extra money on whatever it is. I just have it instantly right there. You know what I mean? So
right, right.
so it took me a while to do that, but now I'm into that. It does feel kind of weird at times just because it used to like buying the CD, but I think because like for me and like the music and underground stuff that I jam to, a lot of times stores don't carry that, and stores pretty much don't carry CDs anymore. I mean, you got
Right.
FYE that kind of does, but FYE's prices are outrageous. I mean,
Yeah, their prices are crazy and they've kind of just fizzled out at this point. Yeah, for me, it's funny that you said FYE. I used to work at FYE for a short period of time, and
oh boy,
I before that though, I used to go all the time. And that same location I ended up working at, bro, I was there on almost on a daily basis. There was a period of time where I lived in an apartment complex with my mom and my sister that was directly across the street from the mall. And more often than not, I would just hop my fucking ass right across the street straight to the mall, and I would just walk around aimless. Like I think about the countless days and weeks of my young child, like my young like late teens, early 20s, that I was just roaming this this mall for no reason. There was no reason. I was just there the day before and the day before that too. The stores didn't change and the mall was not that big. And I would just roam the mall, and I remember that I would go to the FYE specifically. Sometimes I would walk into the FYE, scan everything, maybe even buy something, leave, go somewhere else in the mall, and come back to the FYE like 30, 40 minutes later, like, and maybe buy something else. And I'll never forget that. Just like, yeah, I see. And NORAD Rad said, "Oh man, those mall rat days were the best." Yeah, like it's so crazy. Like that mall rat phase. Like I never really thought of it that way when I was that age, but it's like it just was that place to kind of just walk around. And of course, the world was so different then. It's been over 10 years now since I graduated high school, and it was like right around that time. So it's just insane how much the world's changed. But yeah, so I would just like walk around and I go to FYE all the time, bro. And I bought CDs left and right, man. I burned so much money on physical CDs. And I would kind of like what you were saying, it took me a little bit to switch to doing Spotify 100% and just using that as my main music source. Because initially, for a good chunk of time, even like, no, obviously CD players, it wasn't like I was walking around 10 years ago with a Walkman, you know what I mean, with a CD
Yeah.
player. And like, it was just I'd buy the CD and I'd maybe listen to it in the car, or um, I'd go home instantly and I would put it through my laptop and put it on iTunes. And I'd
Mm,
make sure like like the album art was right, and I'd update the album art if it wasn't like right and stuff like that. And I would only listen to music that I personally purchased and
mm,
had like on my iPhone or what my iPod or whatever it was that I personally purchased. And I always had like this sense of like pride, like, oh, my library is so big if I like bought more CDs. And kind of like you, I'd buy the full album. I still have this thing now where if I find a song or a few songs that I really like from a band on an album, I'll add the whole album to the play
yeah.
to my playlist. And maybe I won't listen to all the songs immediately, but if I stumble upon one and shuffle, I'll be like, "Oh wow, I'm glad I put the album on because now I got to hear the song and I really like it." Or sometimes that's a song from that album will come on and I'm like listening to it, I'm like, "Ah, all right, let me remove you from the playlist now." But um yeah, so yeah, kind of a similar deal. It's a long-winded explanation, but yeah, just very, very interesting to hear that we both have a similar kind of vibe. And I think we both like kind of similar kind of music. You're a metalhead too, right?
Oh yeah, that's the bands that I was in. So, I mean, I
Okay, yeah.
used to
So you
do
were in a band too.
yeah, I was in several bands. I used to do booking for touring bands coming to Jacksonville. So I used to put together the shows, find the locals, promote the show, sell the tickets for the show. It was
Wow.
fun, man. Like I think that like literally has made me uh, put myself out there and like you know how like sometimes how it's kind of harder for people to have like get that sense of community and stuff like that and like
Right.
figure out how to interact with people. But I think like that's like the best way, like how I've learned to interact with people doing stuff like that.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because I would say that for me, my version of that was I was in the band. So me and Robbie, I'm sure you know who Robbie is, the Big Rob Theory, and three of our friends. We all we were in a band coming out of high school. We ended up doing that for a good few years, recorded an album, did some like small touring through Florida. And I mean, who knows, man? Years ago, we very well may have been in the same room at some of these same venues. It's very possible. Because we played and we were in a pop punk metal band,
Hmm.
and yeah, we did that for years, man. On and that was kind of like my, I guess you could say, like, I've always been like a very talkative person. I've always kind of been somebody that can easily communicate with people with no problem.
Hmm.
Um, but I've found that for me was a time that I really kind of like jump to the next level with certain things, kind of like putting yourself out there, communicating with
Hmm.
people on a different level and different things like that. So yeah, it's interesting. It's really interesting to hear that it was for you it was on the promotion side of things because I dealt with a bunch of people that were promoters, which were a lot of great people that I got to know that would give us those tickets that we'd have to sell to like
Oh yeah.
be able to they give us the tickets to sell that in order to play the show.
Hmm.
That was always a blast to kind of have to see if we were able to sell enough tickets to be able to play the show. It always sucks if we were coming up short and we weren't able to sell enough, and then the promoter was like, "Yeah, man, you didn't sell enough." As that was always really, really cringy. I see here that Norin Rad also said, "Respect Harry Potter rocks. One of my favorite franchises." Are you a fan of the Harry Potter franchise yourself?
Oh yeah, I used to read all the books, and I got the complete collection on Blu-ray. So I
Oh,
definitely do.
nice, nice. Yeah, I got the collection on Blu-ray too, and what's it called? I see that he also said that he's working on catching up. Yeah, it's at 506 right now, his collection. Yeah, he's got a big jump to make there. That's a lot of money that you'd have to get to catch up to Ryan right now. I'd actually be curious. I've always wanted to do a full collection, but I don't think mine would be nearly as long as everybody else's. I would say if there's anybody that you would probably compete with is maybe like Jacob Martin, because he's got a lot of movies too. Um, got our buddy Mike. Did you see
Hey,
that
Mike.
popped in here saying, "Hey fellas, what's going on?" I said two legends. Norn Rat said, "Oh yeah, the whole mall rats thing." Yeah, man, those mall rat days were something else, dude. What's a band that you're really into right now?
Ah, I
By the way,
think.
I have to ask. I turned the fan on because it was a little hot in here. Can
Uh,
you hear that on the mic or no?
mm-mm,
Okay, perfect.
never. I don't know, man. I'm kind of doing a lot of smaller bands. I feel like music has really changed. Like there used to be a lot of labels that I followed, and they signed certain kind of bands that I liked. But I feel like a lot of those labels have kind of changed. Like I'm not sure if you're really familiar with a lot of the band labels, but like you remember like Victory Records and stuff like that.
Yeah, of
They
course.
they
Yeah,
they went away. Rise Records used to do like a lot of metalcore bands. They don't really do that anymore.
right.
Um, so it's
Yeah,
a
there was
lot of
like
like
Tooth
this.
and Nail was another one too.
Yeah.
Like,
So like there's a lot of, and then I remember like there was a time period. We have a Christian venue here called Murray Hill Theater, and that's like a big theater. It's a big theater. It used to be a movie theater, and they used to have like hardcore metal bands play there like at least once a month. Then they would do local bands and stuff, but they don't really do that anymore. Like it's not a thing. Um, I love going to shows, but like we don't really get that much anymore. But like for me, like I just want to listen to a lot of small stuff, like really small stuff. Like whatever pops up, I'll look for like playlists and stuff, like top 10 beatdown bands or hardcore metal breakdowns or whatever it is. And like I'll just go through that list. But one of my favorite bands is the Amity Affliction. I don't know if you've heard of them before.
yeah, of course. Yeah, I actually saw them live once. Pretty good
Uh,
band. They're really good live.
yeah, I like them. I like Chelsea Grin.
Yeah, love them too. I saw them live too. Pretty good band.
For the Fallen Dreams.
Nice.
There's a band called Left to Suffer. I think that's what they're called. Have you
Is
heard
that
of them?
Left to Suffer?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one, but
like a lot of small bands. I'm actually going in Sanford in a couple weeks to go watch a concert down there. Uh,
nice.
this band called the Convalesce, and they're like I guess you would call them like death metal. And this other band called Casket Robbery. They just played here in Jacksonville like 4 or 5 months ago. I saw them, check them out, and I'm gonna go check them out again. And they're touring with a couple bands or whatever. So I've never been down there, so that'll be an interesting experience and stuff like that. But if I can find something that just to go to, like I'd love to. It's just I don't know. I feel like a lot of bands they don't come here. They kind of skip over Florida. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because we're like out of the way or like but like touring, I've noticed for bands has really changed. It used to be, you know, they tour all year round, but now it seems like it's that one big summer tour or that one big spring tour. And I guess I don't know if it's COVID or if it's like the gas or things
I
have
think it's just a
changed.
mix of everything, right? Like
Yeah.
the pandemic really changed things. So there's just like a huge percentage of people, especially a lot of these bands, like that. Just they got they want to be home with their family and kids, and everybody's life got changed immediately, and everybody kind of was like forced to stay home for such a long period of time that kind of created this kind of time where like nobody wants to work, everybody wants to be home.
Yeah.
um and I think even though bands want to get out there, I mean, I don't know if you saw, I remember like maybe like almost 2 years ago now or something like that, there was a video that came out of um James Hetfield from from Metallica, and he was like came out to a festival and he was talking to the audience about like kind of like almost like essentially he was talking, I can't remember exactly what it is that he said, but it was something to the effect of him like feeling like a little out of it, like almost feeling like he doesn't know how much longer he could really do this or how long or he fits in, kind of was like
Hmm.
having like an insecure moment about himself. The audience like, gave him a lot of love in that moment, but it's one of those things where even like lead singer of Metallica, spent all that time at home and probably just felt weird then like going like when you kind of like just stop the motors of your machine all of
Hmm.
a sudden and then you like have to go back out there after kind of like just sitting around in PJs at home for months and months and months. And then now it's like, oh, now I got to go perform in front of hundreds of people. Like I'm sure it could be super nerve wracking for for a lot of people, and for myself, I haven't performed or been in a band in a long time, and I often really want to do it again. I want to get back into it, but
Hmm.
there is a part of me that feels super nervous about the idea of getting back into it and performing for an audience again. I feel like that's something that could be wildly nerve wracking. Um, but yeah, I think that that's kind of changed things up. And then there's all these different venues that have different requirements for things. And then
Yep.
unfortunately for us, metal is not really like a huge genre in Florida. Like
Yep.
Florida's got like a lot of R&B, a lot of rap, a lot of hip hop, a lot of pop, a lot of island music, stuff like that. Whereas rock, I would say even country does better in some parts of Florida than metal. But at the same time, I find that when the rock bands and the metal bands do come through, they typically come through like Orlando or Tampa
Yeah.
or something like that. So it's not too bad. I'm actually going to see Greta Van Fleet in on Monday. I believe I'm seeing them in Jacksonville. I
Oh,
don't know
no.
if you're familiar with them, but
I heard the name.
yeah, they're like a bunch of young guys like in their early 20s that do like kind of almost like a late 70s, early 80s. They're very like they tend to be compared to Led Zeppelin.
Mm.
The lead singer has an incredible voice, and there's kind of like that old school kind of classic rock vibe, which
Yep.
I'm a huge fan of classic rock stuff too. Love Aerosmith and Journey and just bands of that era. And
Hmm.
my favorite band tends to get a lot of crap, but I love them. I can't deny it. Um, which is what's it called? Avenged Sevenfold. I don't know if you're
Okay.
into Avenged Sevenfold.
So I
Um,
met them in Warped Tour when
wow,
they
back in
were
the day.
2005 is when I met them. Actually,
Wow,
that year that I met them, I didn't get to meet M Shadows because he hurt his vocals, and that was when, if you remember, he hurt his vocals, and I think he had to get surgery.
right.
That was when he hurt his vocal cords during that date, and I never got to meet him. I only got to meet the rest of the band, and
Damn.
so I really like their first two albums the best. They've changed definitely.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but man, that Unholy Confessions, that whole album, and
Yeah,
Sounding the Seventh Trumpet, like I love those albums. I know, like the
gotcha.
Sounding the Seventh Trumpet is like a really rough album because that's when they were 18 and they recorded all those. So
Right, they didn't record to a click track, so sometimes the tempos are off, but I feel
yeah.
like that's one thing that you and I could probably relate on is, like, I think if I was to introduce somebody to Avenged Sevenfold today, I probably would show them, maybe Unholy Confessions from that second album, but then
Mhm,
probably some of the more melodic songs from their follow-up albums,
mhm.
um, just because I feel like that's kinda more the accessible, like, because they're a little bit more like power metal, a little
Yeah,
bit more old school, kinda like they kind of remind me of like a more modern day, like Iron Maiden in a way, in some ways. Um, but those first 2 albums, of course, are like hardcore albums of the time, and they're
yeah.
super punk. So I feel like if you're a fan of underground, like, metal and stuff like that, you kind of appreciate, like, a good messy record that's not, like, super
Yeah.
well polished or anything like that, It's like
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's kind of where that first album really shines. But yeah, I love all their stuff, man. I've just really grown, and I think part of it for me is that I love the. I'm just a huge fan of the genre of rock and roll, man, in all of its subgenres. So whether it be like even going back to like the Beatles and Elvis and stuff like that, and to see how it progressed and how it started getting heavier with Black Sabbath and Metallica and Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, and then just to go into like the '90s and we're getting like these heavier bands like Pantera, and then to get into the 2000s and kind of see it get a little bit kind of like on the Bullet for My Valentine, like
Mhm.
and Slipknot or popping off and Avenged Sevenfold and Atreyu, and then now I think especially like as far as like just like metal overall, man, there's so many subgenres of metal and
Yep.
so many big bands with like heavy vocals and heavy music that are pretty popular. Like not a lot of them underground ones that are
Yeah.
typically the heavier ones, but there's still some really heavy bands that like in the last like 15 years have just become so popular, like or that were so popular at a certain time. Something like Whitechapel or Suicide Silence or Upon a Burning Body, like these bands that are pretty popular, but have like they're pretty brutal. And so, who's your favorite band?
I think one heavy band that I really like right now is a band called Body Snatcher. You heard of them?
I have, yeah. I haven't
Dude,
listened to too
brutal.
much of them. I've maybe listened to like 2 or 3 songs, but from what I remember, they were pretty good.
Oh man, it's the breakdowns are really good.
Nice.
That's what I guess they call the beatdown music, I guess, when you have that I like them a lot and also like Knocked Loose. You ever heard of Knocked Loose?
Yeah, yeah. Knock Loose was in Orlando probably about like a year ago or so at this point. But yeah,
Really
they're
thick.
really good, man. They have pretty nasty breakdowns, and the vocals on that is just pretty brutal.
For the Fallen Dreams, Counterparts.
Right, right.
Counterparts. But I'm trying to think who else. Hmm. I just trying. I prevail. I like. I mean, I don't know. I kind of like
Yeah, they're
a
pretty good.
variety of stuff. I mean, I like those heavier bands, and like I'll have like some softer stuff too. I like some pop punk. There's this older pop punk band I listen to called Alistair. If you ever heard of
Yeah,
them.
for sure, of course. Yeah, classic. So that was another thing for me too. Is like, so funny enough, I'm a huge metal fan. It's my favorite genre of music. But as a kid, my mom raised me on a lot of pop from the '80s and then the
Yeah.
'90s when I was growing up, and so I've always been a huge pop fan too. And I don't connect as much with the modern day pop. I feel like I do like older pop. Um, but my first like favorite band as a kid was NSYNC. Funny enough.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
so like I know the NSYNC songs like the back of my hand, dude. Like I as a kid, I don't know. I told my dad I need to find those videos so that I can put them on my YouTube channel and make a video out of them. But there are videos of me like doing like the full dance routines of some of these music videos for NSYNC that I think would be hilarious to drop on YouTube. But yeah, man. So I started with a lot of that. So some of my first stuff really getting into rock was pop punk. I think like a lot of people growing up in the '90s and the early 2000s, Blink 182 was like probably like my entryway in, and then I got into like Green Day and you were just saying Alistair and Sum 41 and Good Charlotte and Simple
Oh yeah.
Plan and all that stuff. So I'm a huge fan of stuff like that. But as I've gotten older, I feel like I'm always more inclined to the heavier stuff. Nowadays, I have a real passion for the really heavy stuff or like very powerful, like the heavy stuff that's very melodic,
Mhm.
or like just very different. Like in the recent years, a band that I've really love is Nothing More, who's just gotten bigger and
I
bigger
heard of them.
over the last few years. It's been pretty great to see how big they've gone. I saw them in a small venue in Las Vegas a few years ago, and they were already gaining momentum, but now they're like playing these huge festivals and stuff like that, which is pretty awesome for them. Another band I'm really into right now is Fire from the Gods. I don't know if you're familiar
Oh
with
yeah,
them,
I have them.
dude.
I saw them on
So good.
Warped Tour.
Yeah, I got to meet them, or met the lead singer and the drummer, and bro, I still got to see them live, and it was just so good. I also got to see that same show. I think I saw Hell or High Water with the
Okay.
lead singer. The lead singer is the same singer from Atreyu, the
Yeah.
drummer who also does main vocals. Um, and yeah, man, I think at the same show I saw Blessed to Fall as well.
Oh yeah.
So there's so many great bands out there right now, man. And yeah, I
Oh
would say
yeah.
that Fire from the Gods is definitely one of those that I'm like really into right now. Just I love the blend of rap and and metal. Is there like a metal band right now that is like super popular that you just don't understand and you just don't like?
Mm, Not that I can think off the top of my head, to be honest with you.
Gotcha.
I,
Yeah, I
I'll
don't
say
think
this.
I could think so. I
I'm
don't
gonna
think I
say
could think of one
this.
either.
I was think the one band that I could say that people really love that I wouldn't say I'm like as big of a fan of, but I like a couple songs is Five Finger Death Punch.
Right. That's an interesting one because in that era that we were talking about earlier of buying CDs and stuff like that, I had heard a couple of songs from a specific album and I like bought that album. And then I would say that I pretty much really enjoyed that album overall. But then
Mm,
after that, I started getting into, using Spotify more. So I started adding all their albums to Spotify.
mm,
And I found that more often than not, if a song came on that I wasn't familiar with, sometimes it'd be one that I was like, "Oh, this is pretty good. I'm glad I listened to this now. I'll leave it on my playlist." But as I started listening to some of the other ones I wasn't familiar with, there was just more often than not I was like, maybe I'll take this one off the playlist, or I'll take this one
yeah.
off the playlist." And next thing I knew, I was kind of deleting like a whole bunch of their music. It's not that I dislike the band; like I have respect for the band, like
Oh
and
yeah.
the fan base they've built, and I have a lot of their songs I really like. But I think there was a time I thought I was a bigger Five Finger Death Punch fan, And then unfortunately now that it's almost like kind of a cringe element around being a
Mhm.
Five Finger Death Punch fan. Some people would say the same thing about Avenged Sevenfold, but those people can suck my gooch because I love fucking Avenged Sevenfold, bro. I have the it's upside down from this image, but I have the death bat right here
Oh,
too.
nice.
Yeah, I love Avenged Sevenfold. They're for sure my favorite band. I'm gonna be seeing them at Welcome to Rockville, um,
Oh, yeah, that'll be fun.
in, in May, which I'm really looking forward to. Um, Let me see. I see that Mike responded here. Uh, you guys seen a movie called Ghost Stories? Ghost
That
Stories
one.
sounds familiar. Sorry, I couldn't join, fellas. Been watching Ghost Stories. I need two people to join me for a collab for it. Ghost Stories. That sounds familiar. Let me look. Let me look that up because I don't know what the hell that is.
I know I watched a movie called A Ghost Story this year, so that's not it.
Ghost Stories. Is it a movie or the Netflix series?
Oh, I don't
Or
know.
is it the Netflix movie? Looks like it's a movie on Netflix. Mike, I don't know. Is it this one right here? Hold on. I don't know. Wow, that's terrible.
Can't see it.
Uh,
Uh,
I'm-
that's hard to see.
that's really hard to see. All right, there you go.
I haven't
Mike,
heard of that.
yeah, if this is it, let me know. Because yeah, then I've definitely never seen this movie ever before in my life. Um, but I mean, is it good? Is it bad? I don't know what to take from the fact that he wants to collab for it.
You never know. You might be watching a bad one.
You never know these days, man. It's always a bummer when we watch movies that are just like we've all been sent like screeners that sometimes are just super terrible. I'm not gonna lie, man. I was texting Mike about it, and now that I have you here, I was so surprised to see that you gave Spoonful of Sugar such a good review, bro. Because for me, that movie was one steaming pile of bullshit. But that's kind of the interesting part about movies, right? Like I've definitely given Mike a hard time on so many movies that he's like given a good review to, and then
Mhm,
he'll like take a crap on like something that I really enjoyed or something, and I'm like,
mhm.
no way you gave that other movie like a better score than this movie. It's always interesting to see what people rate movies. But yeah, man, Spoonful of Sugar, that was something else for sure. I'm glad you liked it, man. If anything, I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, cause like the shutter screens, I feel like you approach them a little bit differently than you would like a movie in a theater. I don't know. I just, for whatever reason, I guess sometimes certain movies they just they grab you. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we always get kind of a mix with Shutter movies. I feel like.
Right. You never know, man. Like I was just telling people before you hopped on, there was a movie that came out on there last year that made my top 10 of the year called Glorious.
Yep.
And I don't know if you saw that one, but
Yep.
yeah, that one I really liked. And I think it was just because it was weird. It was like kind of crazy and zany. You got J.K. Simmons doing his J.K. Simmons thing,
Mm.
and he's behind this bathroom stall. And it was just like, I like a good weird horror comedy that's like just doesn't take itself seriously and it's just weird. Um, so I think when Shutter sends me stuff that leans in that direction, I'm always in, man. I'm all in for stuff like that. I'm all in for just like really, really strange horror films that are kind of like zany. And I think that's why I love like the Chucky franchise so much.
Mhm.
It's probably my favorite horror franchise just because it's just so stupid in so many ways. Um, but yeah, man, sometimes there's what the thing with Shutter, sometimes they have a lot of movies that are so sexual. And listen, I don't mind a good kinky movie. I don't mind some kink in some movies. But for me, it's when it's like, I don't know. Like, did you see What Josiah Saw?
That was garbage.
Like that was horrible, dude. And like that's another one, like where it's like, it was like well acted. It was like kind of it had like it had good cinematography. There were some nice shots of lighting. I could think of moments in the way that the film was made, and I thought,
Yeah.
okay, it's not a poorly made film, but it was so slow, it was bone dry slow. And then it was just weird, man. You got Robert Patrick like having his son masturbate in front of him, and
Yeah.
and then you got the movie ending with the brother and sister who had an incestual relationship earlier in the movie in the flashbacks. The movie's literally the credits are rolling over them butt naked, getting it on, a brother and sister. And I'm just like
Yeah.
at a certain point, I'm looking at these movies that Shutter like buys or like, they greenlit them or whatever. And I'm just like, dude, why? Just why?
Well, I think a lot of their movies, I think they buy them from, whoever has them or whatever, and they get them off festivals because a lot of the ones, like if you look up where they came from, oh, they were on this festival or that festival.
Right,
So
right, yeah.
it seems like they must have like a bunch of people that just go out to festivals and they're like, all right, let's see what like crazy movie we can put on our streaming service. That's horror, you know what I mean? But I was just
Right.
talking to Mike today. I was chatting with him. I told him I watched this movie last night. It was called Baby Ruby. I don't know if you heard of it,
No.
but it's basically a horror movie about this woman who has this baby, and she thinks that the baby hates her, and it's this horror movie about her having postpartum, and she's having like all these different visions and stuff like that, and she's a blogger, and it's just like the horrors of her like not being able to like breastfeed and stuff like that. And I was telling Mike, I said, horror is not like what it used to be. It's very There's a lot of subgenres of horror now. Like it
Right.
used to be like you have a slasher, a ghost story. Now it's like they take like events and like random things in life and they turn it into a horror story. And
Right.
sometimes they'll like throw all these random visions and they're like, it's a horror movie. It's going to Shutter. You know what I mean? Like they have like some of those like strange movies and there's so many like subgenres. So I think horror is one of the most difficult movies to make nowadays because if you think about it, with like slashers or found footage or whatever the case may be, a lot of these horror movies they have a lot of tropes within them, and it's hard to reinvent the wheel. You know what I mean? Like if
Right.
you watch a slasher movie, you kind of know in certain aspects like what's going to happen. Like the killer's going to go look for him. What kind of weapon is he going to have? You know what I mean? But I don't know. I just think like horror has definitely like shaped into different genres and subgenres. So I think it's taken on a new meaning from like what it was in the 80s.
Right. No, for sure, man. Because the '80s was like this cesspool of horror, and it's funny because I would argue that the '80s for me still is like the best era of horror. There's something about the way that horror looked at that time. There was something about the practical effects of the time. I think of like the slasher films with all the kills, or like American Werewolf in London, or just so many movies that relied on creepy atmosphere and locations. The Exorcist. There were just so many movies that are like that still stand the test of time and are still entertaining to watch all these years later, that are from the '80s. But nowadays we have like what people call elevated horror, which is like
Hmm.
this, like things like Hereditary or Midsummer, or a lot of A24 stuff nowadays, really.
Hmm.
And I like a lot of it, but sometimes, man, and I said it in my review for Spoonful of Sugar, there is a part of me that kind of hates some of the modern day horror, because there is this element where it does feel like there's certain movies that just solely rely on the idea of like, okay, cool, we got like kind of a bizarre premise. Maybe this movie's going to be about domestic abuse, and it's kind of like this very slow, eerie, kind of like just you're uncomfortable because this, maybe a kid's being molested by their parent, or like there's this kind of like a relationship domestic abuse kind of thing.
Hmm.
And throughout the movie there might be kind of like we saw in Spoonful of Sugar, with there's these visions that kind of add like a horror element to the movie, but the movie itself isn't on its own horror.
Hmm.
And so it's a weird thing sometimes where you really don't know, like, okay, is this just what's gonna be like, a bunch of like weirdness and kind of like, and don't get me wrong, there's some that pull it off really well. There are a lot that I find myself really, really invested in.
Hmm.
um what the hell, Mike, dude, I don't know how to feel about that, man. What
Man,
the hell? So this actually, that's one of my coworkers. Mike, are you sure, bro?
wow,
$50. What the hell? I'm shooketh. You got me shooketh here on the stream. I feel terrible accepting that, bro. But thank you.
wow.
All right, man. I'm gonna talk to you at work, bro. Hold on. We gotta whoa, 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 whoa. $50. I'm blown away right now. Dude. Thank you, Mike. We're gonna talk at work, man. What the hell? Holy shit, bro. You just fucking got me. I don't even remember what the hell we were talking about.
You're
Said
talking
I
about
tip
like how
you.
like the Shutter and stuff.
I love you, dog. Keep grinding. Thanks, man. Jesus. Fuck, I didn't expect that. Damn. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. I really appreciate that, man. Holy fuck. I'm absolutely blown away. Lord have mercy. Wow. Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, man. So as far as the Shutter screeners and stuff, or like the Shutter movies, yeah, like I think it's just a mixed bag, man. Because sometimes it's like those movies, kind of like what Josiah saw, whole movie was about family trauma. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like it's just I just feel like it goes so far into like some of the weirdness that at a certain point it like loses the story. And I'm sure like that's something I think you can probably relate with that. Like there are so many of these movies that have the same kind of thing, and then there's just no story. Like
Yeah.
for instance, a movie that we both hated with a fiery passion, um, all jacked up and full of worms. Um, that
Yes.
movie was atrocious. It was terrible. It was disgusting. It was weird, and it was clearly an allegory for drug abuse, right? Like it
Mm,
was clearly using the worms as for drugs, and kind of the way that that trickles down, and how one person can kind of influence another person to do drugs, and then the rabbit hole of madness that that can send you down as time goes on.
mhm.
And it's this weird thing because in the movie, when you really watch it, as much as I can say that as a film reviewer, I can look at the movie objectively and say, okay, I feel like that's what they're trying to convey with this movie. The movie just has no characters that are likable or that you care
Yes.
about or that you want to spend any time with. There's no story whatsoever. And so it
Yeah.
becomes this thing where you're just kind of watching some of these movies that just have, you know, this like weird sexual energy for like really no reason, or
Mhm.
like just like I don't know, bro. It kind of it blows me away, to be honest, like just how some of the stuff is handled in some of these
Mhm.
movies. Would you agree with All Jacked Up and Full of Worms?
Oh, yeah, it's terrible, terrible characters. I said in my review, I remember, and the whole ending, like how that movie ended. What the hell?
Right,
What
man.
the
I mean, and
hell?
even up to that point, dude, like, and I guess spoilers for All Jacked Up and Full of Worms, there's no real there's no real story, so I'm not spoiling anything for anybody, but
Yeah.
there's a whole segment of the movie where this guy is walking around with this baby doll, this very ugly, demented looking baby doll with like a huge
Yeah.
mouth, and I think he does like sexual things with this baby
Yes.
doll, if I
Ah,
remember
dude.
correctly.
Remind me of that scene.
It was just it's just atrocious, man, and this one's not on Shutter, but it was just horrendous, bro. I'm watching this movie thinking to myself, "What the actual fuck is going on?" Like, genuinely, like, I was watching, like, just going, "What the fuck is going on?" Like, watching this
Yeah.
movie. I just kept watching minute after minute, and I was like, isn't it the worst when you get a screener for something and you just you don't wanna feel this way, but you keep just checking how much longer you have in the movie?
Yes, I've done it
Um,
plenty of times.
yeah, it's something else, man. I see Mike is here, said, "What a legend." Yeah, Mike coming in here clutch. Mike is a freaking legend, dude. Damn. Mike, I gotta still have you on for that Lord of the Rings conversation. Uh, we gotta do that soon. I see D Movie Man's calling out Mike over here in the chat for I guess what Mike, were you not responding to D? And he had to sees you here in the chat and he's like, damn, this motherfucker left me on red. Um and yeah, so what am I talking about? Yeah, exactly. You're so lucky, Mike. You're so lucky that you didn't watch this movie all jacked up and full of worms. I promise you, without a shadow of a doubt, that it would have been your number one worst film of the year too, bro. I when I was really narrowing down the movies, I was like, there's no other movie I can think of that was worse in
Yeah.
2022 than that movie. Like there was no story. It was just people ingesting and eating and snorting worms the whole movie and getting fucked up, and
Yeah.
then that was it. And then it was like a weird baby doll in one scene in the movie that
Mhm.
unfortunately a guy was doing sexual deeds with. It was horrible. And I can see that obviously he says Ryan's favorite movie is all
I
jacked
went
up.
on a rant about it last year. I mean, I don't ever do that on the channel. I don't. It takes me a lot to get pissed off about watching a movie, but that movie like made me angry
It
watching
was
that movie.
it was complete. It was terrible, man. It was so bad. Man, I don't know what to say to y'all right now. $10, bro. Thank you, bro. What the hell? You see that I completely put you on blast later, but in the meantime, congratulations on your accomplishment, dedication, and perseverance. You also still owe me a breakfast hangout. I'm down, dude. Come down here to Florida again, and we'll hang out, man. Like last time was so short lived, and I was so bummed that I wasn't able to like come and see you too, Ryan, when you were here. Um, and I learned shortly after I left St. Augustine that you actually live in St. Augustine.
Yeah,
Mike told me that, and I was like, oh, he was like, after I left, he was like, did you see Ryan while you were in St. Augustine? I was like, does Ryan live in St. Augustine? He's like,
you're
yeah. I
literally
was
at the
like, oh,
Torture Museum. I'm literally like 3 miles down the street from that.
holy shit, dude, that's crazy, man. Yeah, like my fiance and I did like a little staycation, and we decided let's just get away for a little bit, you know. But hold on. But D Movie Man says that you'll see that I completely put you on blast later. What does that mean? Where'd you put me on blast? Hold on, did I miss something in the chat? We'll do my squint. Oh, I saw. No, are you talking about earlier? Because I made a comment about it when you called me snotothy, snothanthony, snot. I don't know how to say that.
Not funny.
Yeah, Snothany, A. Perez. Yeah, because I was sneezing. I sneezed like 3 times in a row. Mike, who sent me that $50, he definitely has seen me at work just dying, dude. When I have bad allergies, it's the worst, man. It's like
It's the pollen, dude. Me and my wife have had the same problem. I
it's
think like
gnarly,
today's like
man.
one of the first days I'm not like sniffing around.
Yeah, I actually today have gone the whole day without really having struggling and without having to take allergy medicine. So when I started sneezing, I was like, of course, great. As soon as I sit down to do this, D Movie Man said we need to reviews of Ryan giving bad films the business. Yeah, dude. Honestly, I love. That's why what was so frustrating. Not frustrating in a lighthearted way, but when
Hmm.
I clicked on your review for Spoonful of Sugar, I was like, I was doing one of these. That oh boy, just like I can't wait. I can't wait to see Ryan tear into this movie because I was like, I hated it. Mike hated it. And Mike, what's it called? Mike hit me up first and was telling me that he was like, dude, I saw a Spoonful of Sugar. I don't know what you're talking about. That's a 4-star movie. I'm like, 4-star movie? I'm like, no way. I'm like, you gave freaking Quantumania a 1.5 stars. But you didn't you're giving this Spoonful of Sugar 4 stars, and he was like, no, I'm just kidding, the movie sucked. So when I came to your channel, I was just like, yes, I can't wait to see Ryan rip into it, and I won't lie, I was disappointed. um Mike says, I think we need D Movie Man rants, dude. D Movie Man rants anytime that you get like hot about a movie. I think it's hilarious, especially when it's a freaking a hot take. What was the last one that he did, man? You did a hot take on something that like shook me to my core. It was Avatar. I think it was Avatar: The Way of Water.
Mhm.
That I remember, like I could just tell from your thumbnail. I was like, I'm not gonna like what D has to say about this movie right now. Says nope. That's not it all. Not it at all. You'll see it in a notification once the stream is over. It's a very timely message. Very timely message. Hold on. Now you got me. So you got me on the stream. Where am I looking? Is it an Instagram? No, it's not an Instagram. Where am I looking? Notification. Where am I notified? Did you already leave a notification? Hold on. Where am I looking? All right. Like he made a post. Oh, he made a post here. Let's see. Let's read it out loud. The only thing more fun than shouting out my cinematic compadres on here is shouting out the ones who just celebrated a massive milestone. What I appreciate the most about my cinematic compadre Anthony A. Perez is his incredible kindness and benevolence, and regarding smaller up and coming YouTubers on the platform. Although he hardly knew me, he felt compelled to support my channel and collaborate with me multiple times, which blew me away. I promise Jaws 3 is still on the way. Yeah, I'm still waiting on Jaws 3, man. I'm looking forward to that. And I guess I should just add in here really quickly. I have Ryan joining me soon enough for a Disney Channel original movie called Cadet Kelly with Hilary Duff. For anybody who remembers that bad boy back in the day, that review with the two of us is coming very soon. Expect some sort of thumbnail with us in military school attire with maybe some sort of long hair wigs on. That should be a fun thumbnail to make. Um, D continues with, I love the community he's established as a captain and commander of collaborations, various and different YouTubers all coming together to celebrate and express their appreciation or even annoyance with a multitude of movies and films. Outside of that, he's proven himself to be very supportive, encouraging, and a dear friend and a fellow brother in beardom. Yeah, for sure, bro. Although the initial process of meeting you officially in person was chaotic and somewhat injurious. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, he says my poor heels have since then recovered. When I first met D, his like heels were bleeding. Like he just walked up to me and like he had to like ask to like we were at a restaurant and I was like like excited to meet him. He's like rubbing his heels and he like asked the waiter if she had a band-aid and he's like he's got blood coming off the back of his heels. I was just like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Um, once we had the chance to chat and hang out in person, it was like reuniting with an old friend I hadn't seen in years. Lastly, I admire his steadfast determination in staying the course on YouTube despite unexpected setbacks and regular bouts of frustration, disappointment, and general disillusionment with his journey as a content creator. Although it may be long overdue, it may not have happened when you expected it to. Uh, you being officially monetized gives me joy and excitement that is beyond words. Although your character speaks volumes outside of this platform, I hope this will be another step towards you recognizing the greatness and the value in who you are, who you've been, and who you continue to be. Here's to you, Anthony. Grateful to have you as both a friend and a supporter of YouTube and life. Dude, thank you, man. I appreciate that, D. That was some really nice words, man. You are a very well spoken, kind sir, and I appreciate that a lot. Oh, hold on. That looks like there's a long message here. Oh, okay. I looked at the comments. I saw the dot, 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 dot. I thought you were going to try me in there or something. But dude, thank you, man. I really appreciate that, D. I really, really appreciate those kind words, man. And yeah, sorry to halt the stream right there to read that whole thing, but yeah, I appreciate that a lot, man. And it's been a real pleasure to just get to know everybody here on YouTube and do live streams like this and like be able to hit up Ryan and be like, hey, what are you doing? You want to hop on a stream? And now we're here talking about heavy metal and all jacked up and full of worms and top tier movies. Uh, why are you trying to make this a moment on your live stream? Have a seat, sir. Dude, that's the beauty of that calling the channel Anthony A. Perez. I can do whatever the fuck I want. No. The Upside Dan. Hey, everybody. What's going on, man? How's it going?
Man.
Mike says, Ryan on the Disney Channel classic review. Oh, snap. That reminds me. Ryan and our collab for Greedy is coming soon. I promise.
A year later, man. I recorded that a year ago.
Oh, my God. Jeez.
I
year.
literally recorded that a year ago. And it was, I think he asked me about it a few months ago. And I said to him, I was like, man, since that review, man, I've gotten a lot better, I think, from that review.
Probably.
So,
You may have to refilm that one when the time comes. Because yeah, I think Mike set you up for some failure there. But yeah, sometimes that happens, right? Like I've had like certain people that I was collabing with, and then it just took a long time to get the next video out in the series or whatever. Mike's been pretty consistent with me so far with the Land Before Time series, which thankfully somehow has been doing fairly well on the channel. I'm actually pretty grateful that those videos have been doing kind of well. People like Littlefoot and the little dinosaurs, I guess. But yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about Cadet Kelly with you because I haven't seen that movie since I was a kid, and but I saw it all the time as a kid. I feel like I saw it like a bajillion times. Let's see, Mike. No lie, I have Darnell's collab portion on private for Mars Attacks for over 2 years. Yeah, have you not made that live yet?
oh my gosh.
Jeez, yeah,
I think I watched that one. Yeah, he had.
made
I'm
that
part
live,
of his
right?
Patreon group, and he has it on.
Oh,
I've watched it.
gotcha. I was gonna say, I don't. Damn, is you not made that live yet? I gotta see that video, man. Just drop that shit. Um, he's like, I've just been lost in massive content, and then I haven't been doing the Michael J. Fox filmography. Yeah,
Nah,
man.
I don't feel bad.
I say you just drop those videos like at some point and just let them go. Like, just let YouTube do its thing and let people watch them over time. That's kind of the benefit of YouTube. I'm sure you kind of have like a similar thing, Ryan, where um maybe you like look through your analytics, you're like, oh my God, this random video I did like 3 years ago has like, gained like 4 views in the last couple days or something. It's sometimes it's like the smallest amount of views, but you forget that those videos are still on the channel doing things and building their own kind of viewership over the course of time. You ever have those times too where you like look back like a year later and like one of the videos like just popped off in like the background, like you're just like, oh my God, I didn't expect this video to gain so much traction. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I feel like my top videos that I have are movies that I wouldn't even expected to get like my top views. Like
Right.
most of the top view videos that I have are movies that I don't like. So I think that's really funny. But I think like my top one right now, I think, is a movie called A Mouthful of Air with Amanda Seyfried. I think I have like 2,000 views on that one.
Oh wow.
But
Okay.
I never would have expected to have that much views on that one because it was kind of dropped in the theaters just like randomly, and I know it's a book, but I don't know. It's never even been released on physical media, and I think it just got like a digital release. So it's interesting that's my top video right now. So
Right. It's crazy. You never really know, man. Like, cause there's some videos like I remember when like Mike told me like he was like, dude, you got to jump on this RRR movie. Everybody's
yeah.
talking about it. So when I did it, that got like a couple thousand views really fast, and then it kept growing,
Mm,
and it petered out around like or like teetered out maybe probably around like the like 20 or 20, sorry, like 12,000
mm,
view area. That's probably around the area that it stopped, but yeah, it's kind of crazy to see certain videos that pop up. My most viewed video is for the Passion of the Christ, and that was so random because I did it years after the movie came out. But I guess when
mm.
I looked afterwards, there was only a couple of reviews, like really like early YouTube, bad camera quality, poorly lit reviews on YouTube of Passion of the Christ. And I
Wow.
almost wish that I had done a nicer, like well put together review like I do now. But back
Mhm.
then when I did it, I was reviewing movies in my car. So that video is like 20 minutes long of just me driving around talking about Passion of the Christ, just cutting out certain mistakes, but there's not a lot of editing, there's not a lot of footage, there's not a lot of poster images or anything like that throughout the review. I've thought about reviewing like re-reviewing some of those movies I did in my car back in the day, but there's
Mhm,
so many movies to talk about where it's like my thoughts on the movie are still in that video if you really give a shit, you know? But
mhm,
yeah, with Passion of the Christ, that was one that like I did the video. I think like within the first 2 weeks, it hit like 90 views within my like circle of subscribers at the time.
mhm.
And then I was like, all right, cool, that's it. Like it just kind of like stopped. And then I opened my analytics one day and I saw that I had like gained like 10,000 views. I was like, what the hell? And I looked and it was that video. And then for the next few months, it just kept popping off, kept slowly growing. And I got up to like 47,000 views and then it just stopped. It really hasn't gained any more views since. Like it came to a screeching halt. But it was
Wow.
that Easter after I uploaded it, that Easter and then that Christmas, they just popped off. And it was just kind of crazy to see like one of these videos just randomly explode. And I can also think about like movies like I did a Nickelodeon movie from back in the day called Spiderwick Chronicles. And
Mhm.
I did a review for that. And at first, it didn't really do well on the channel. Like I remember, like it was the first video that I felt like really discouraged about. Like I think it got like 25 views, and it stayed right there. And I wasn't used to that yet because I had just started the channel and had a bunch of my friends and like my friends' friends and my mom's friends and like my family and my family's friends. Like everybody was supporting the channel at first. So my first couple of videos got to like 100 or 200 views pretty quickly. And I felt like, oh, wow, I'm doing pretty good. This YouTube thing is really great. Little did I know that within the next, short period of time, I was going to struggle with viewership, that I was going to have to deal with the ups and downs of YouTube viewership. Um, but yeah, man, it was definitely a learning lesson to say the least.
Mhm.
Um, it was definitely a learning lesson to say the least. But um, yeah, I remember that video didn't do well. I had like 25 views, and then I checked like within a matter of a few months, and I had like 3,000 views. I was just like, how does this happen? Like, it's just so
Yeah.
random. Like, you never really know. Like, how did it go from 25 views? A few months passed, and all of a sudden, like 3,000 more people are like, yeah, let me watch this video. Um, it's just
Strange.
it's really really strange. Got in the front row in here saying I'm at the pool, guys. Just stopping by to show some love to you guys live. Thank you so much. Um, Mike says I may just drop the videos, make Greedy the final movie, as I really want to bring back the terrible movie collab series. Please do that. Please do that. Like, just drop those videos. Let YouTube do its thing. Drop maybe like one for like the next couple of weeks. Maybe drop two a week, whatever. Just drop the videos. I'll watch them. Everybody will watch them. Let those videos gain traction over the course of time, and then do your terrible movie collab series because that series was hilarious. And I love and you got to do the Greasy Strangler and you got to do A24's Lamb. Please do those
Oh
movies.
man, Lamb.
God, bro, what did you think of Lamb?
So I originally I think I gave it like an okay rating, but I actually bought it recently. But to be honest, dude, it's still in the package. I haven't gotten to it, dude. That's the problem with being a physical media collector, and us doing our YouTube and keeping up with them new movies. Like I don't know how you go about it, but for me, it's kind of hard to watch all my physical media stuff and then you know, do reviews and do other things and get to all the stuff that I bought because I buy so much stuff. I have so much stuff like it's in the wrapper that I haven't even unwrapped. It's
Right.
pretty bad.
No, I feel you, man. Like I used to be like that a little bit, and I actually have like a bunch of DVDs that my grandpa gave me. Or that I should say my that I got passed on to me when my grandpa passed away a couple of years ago. But I haven't really dug deep into that, bro. But there's like I got like a bunch of Spanish movies that are
Mhm.
still in the like still in plastic wrap. Like, and bro, they're like the worst. They look terrible. They look horrendous. I might have to cover a few just for the sake of like who the hell else is covering these movies. I thought about doing like a video where I just open that box and just show all the different movies that I got from my grandpa after he passed away because it's
Yeah,
like the most random set of movies, bro. It'll be like you're Hispanic, right?
I'm not.
Dude, you look Hispanic. I mean,
I'm
maybe
not. I
that's
don't know Spanish at all.
maybe I'm just racist, but you look Hispanic. Where's your family from?
So I'm originally from Maryland. Um, so most of my family's from Maryland. I'm part Irish. So
Really?
and then like I'm pretty much naturally kind of tan. So I have like the farmer's tan, I guess you want to say. Uh,
Gotcha. Yeah, you have like a Hispanic look to you. So like being here from Florida, I figured, oh, okay, for sure, this guy's Hispanic. But I
no,
guess now that you say that, I guess yeah, you're just like, just you're not Hispanic at all.
no, and the thing is, it's funny because at work I deal with a lot of the people in like Miami and stuff like that, and so a lot of them will speak Spanish. I'm like, no Espanol, and I'll have to get the drivers to talk to them in Spanish because I don't know nothing.
that's that's funny. Yeah, my Spanish is kind of broken. Like I can get through at work if I have to talk to like a customer or somebody who's um who's Spanish, like I can speak Spanish well enough, but I can understand it better than I can speak it for
Mm,
sure. But yeah, man, listen, I got to start wrapping this up soon. I wasn't going to stream for too long, but I'm so glad you were able to hop on and give me somebody to talk to, man. I'm going to change the thumbnail and everything as soon as we're done with this because this video initially was just going to be me, but I'm glad I was able to have you on.
yeah,
But before we wrap this up, man, I want to do a proper longer stream with you one of these days where I have you
yeah.
from the very start and we keep doing it. But it's been a blast, man. Thanks for talking for a little bit tonight. And for anybody watching, I hope you enjoyed just hearing us, shoot the shit and stuff. And Ryan, let the audience know. I already put your link down below in the description box, but let them know what they can find over on your channel, what you got coming out soon, maybe what you just recently dropped.
Yeah, so I do movie reviews, I do Blu-ray hunts, I do end of the month hauls, and share steel books that I get. Love steelbook collecting, and what I got coming up, I got Women Talking review coming up. I have my collab with Anthony with Cadet Kelly coming up. I have, let's see, oh, my end of my collection coming up. And then I watched a couple new movies released recently. I have this movie called Baby Ruby I watched, and another movie I watched called Empire of Light. So I'll be dropping reviews on those two as well.
Nice, man. Nice. Well, I'm looking forward to checking those out. I'm looking forward to having you on again for another live stream. As I said at the beginning of this live stream, it's something I want to start doing more often. I used to do it all the time, weekly basis, multiple times a week. And I just fell off from doing it. I just got lost in the making movie reviews and kind of being lazy about the live streams. But every time I start one up and I have a guest on and I sit here and talk for a while, it's always a blast. And in the case of today, unexpectedly, I just made $60. So a big thanks
There you
to
go.
Mike and Dee for tipping that money. I really, really appreciate it. Mike, I don't even know what to say to you, man. Love you, dude. Appreciate the love, D. I really appreciate that too. Thanks for all the kind words in your post about me, man. Really genuinely appreciate it. And Ryan, thank you, man, for hopping onto the stream, just shooting the shit with me, having a good time. Hold on, real quick. I see that D Movie Man posted something here. Ryan, I'm curious, what are your thoughts were before you headed over to meet with Mike and I for Planet Hollywood? I'm definitely curious on this story too.
Uh, so a little nervous. You kind of don't know who you're meeting off, I guess, the internet sometimes. So you never know like how people are gonna be. You just hope that, you know, I think meeting Mike is like everything that he is in general. Like I think he's a really good person. I think he's a person that really motivates a lot of us. I feel like he's that kind of person that like if you're feeling down about something or you need that extra push or whatever, like he's a great motivator. I don't know if he needs to go into some job where he motivates people for life, but I think he would be great at it. So but yeah, like my initial thoughts were just like I was just, because it's kind of weird too, because like when you we talk about movies on the internet like this, you never know like how in person like how that conversation is going to go. Is it going to be like
Right.
dead air? Are you going to have a good conversation? But like no, there was like no dead air. Like we all like had a genuine good conversation. If anything though, because we were in Planet Hollywood, it was really loud in there, so there are certain points where like trying to talk a little louder than like you normally would talk, since like it's so loud with the music blasting and everything and the TV's going. Um, but like that was about it, I would say. But yeah, it was great. Like, and I met up with Dee before um, I went to go meet Mike because we went to go see Barbarian together. And I told Dee after the movie, I was like, thank you so much for joining up with me, because for me, like I don't get a lot of opportunities to just watch a movie with somebody. Like it just doesn't happen. I don't
Right.
know people or have like friends that watch movies, and my wife isn't as in these movies as much as I am. So sometimes my son will go with me on certain ones, but it's just nice to go watch like a horror movie with someone and just to talk about it afterwards, let alone somebody that talks about it on YouTube. So that was a great experience, and overall, it was a great experience. I wish I had more time about that, but it was a good time. So hope to do it
Nice,
again at
man.
some point.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely gotta agree with with what you were saying about the two of them. I got to watch a movie with both of them on different occasions. When Mike was here, I got to see Barbarian with him, and I see that Mike commented that here. He says that I love that Ryan and D saw Barbarian, and then him and I saw Barbarian too. Um, and which was great because it was actually Mike's first time watching a movie in an American theater, which was really awesome. And we saw it in the Dolby screen. And then I saw The Movie Man the following week, and we went to go see Don't Worry, Darling with Florence Pugh and Harry Styles, as well as with the Upside Dan, who was one of the other I got the cinema squad with us, and yeah, he said that he was a little nervous the first time he met somebody from the tube. Yeah, the first time I met somebody from YouTube, it was a little awkward. I won't say who it was. It was just a little awkward, but they were really nice, and him and I have connected a lot more since then. So it's turned out to be a really good time. Um, but yeah, I mean, I kind of there's always a little bit of that nerve initially, but then it's kind of just like amazing to be able to meet the people, and then it ends up being a really good time. And so, yeah, kind of, I gotta agree with your sentiment about Mike. He says there that he's thanking you for the extremely kind words, and yeah, Mike is just one of those. Mike and D, because I talked a little bit about it on the beginning of the stream, and I know that Ryan, you and I haven't spoken about it too much, but I've always struggled with a lot of discouragement around YouTube and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And so those two have always just been so positive towards me and just like pushing me to continue to go and just keep grinding and keep pushing on and just get that next video up. And the growth on the channel will happen over time. And I'm glad I have had friends like them to help push me to keep on. So yeah, I do agree. Honestly, Mike, if you could get into some sort of counseling role or something where you could, literally like help people, I feel like you would be incredible at that. And I see Id also said that he was worried initially, but the hug from Mike took all the anxiety away. Ryan was cutting up in
I
that
was
video.
laughing pretty hard because like our audience was so quiet. Nobody was laughing or like like getting into like the movie or you know I don't know. It was strange.
Yeah, I feel you. It's the worst when that kind of thing happens. Thankfully, when Mike and I saw Barbarian, it was what's it called? It was a fairly like interactive crowd. So with some of the big moments where everybody's kind of like, "Oh shit." Um
Mhm.
everybody was kind of reacting at the same time, so it was easy to kind of have a lot more fun with the movie and kind of enjoy the experience. Upside Dan says that when he met D, he was on something else. Does that mean you were like drinking? Were you on drugs? I don't know. Or were you just having a good time? Whatever the case may be. Guys, thank you so much again. I'm going to try to do another stream soon, and we'll have Ryan back on, maybe get D on here, get Mike on here, get Upside Dan on here. Let's get everybody on here and just talk about movies and life and stuff like that. I wish I didn't have to work in the morning and all that jazz. But thank you again, Ryan, for joining. Guys, you can find the link to Ryan down below in the description box. To anybody who watched today and commented and dropped some love in the comments, really appreciate you guys. And yeah, any final words, my friend?
Just thanks for inviting me on. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man, absolutely, for sure. And I'm looking for Mike. I'm putting some pressure. Mike, let's get this Star Wars stream going. Attack of the Clones. We need to get on this immediately.
Yeah,
So that
gotta watch
Ryan
that soon.
Yeah, exactly. All right, wrapping it up, guys. Thanks so much. See you guys in the next one.